Hello, everybody. Let's see. I got my mic on. I trust. And good afternoon, and welcome to the I Am Radio TV network. I am Jeffrey Miller. I'm the show host, and I want to give you a little bit of background about what we are and who we are, what we're doing and who we are, I should say. Get a little tongue-tied there. I'd like to welcome you to the virtual studio that is around me. Now, this is not real. You say, what? What do you mean it's not real? This is not real. This is not real. It's a virtual studio, and it is for the show. And we're going to have an amazing, amazing, amazing show this afternoon, folks. I am so pleased to have with me what I call and who I call brothers, Mr. Tracy Morgan and Mr. Pat Scheffler. And before I introduce these amazing brothers, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we're doing. The I Am Radio TV network was founded by myself and my wife, Emily, about 5 years ago. We utilized it for interview shows. We had quite a few shows going on. Back in those days, it was not as you see it now, like a live stream TV. It was radio. And they say that I have the radio voice. Well, nowadays, everybody's got a radio voice. It doesn't matter anymore whether you get that deep, melodious voice. Because in the voiceover industry, which I've done some work in doing adverts and whatever, they don't really care about the deep, dark, melodious voice anymore. That said, the Interactive Media Network, the I Am Radio TV network, kind of got put to bed. I felt that I needed to do something else, and that part of that was called retire. Until right around June of 2018. When after a vacation down here to sunny Florida, I wasn't feeling so good and I was having some issues, and I thought that I had a urinary tract infection, what they call a UTI. That led to a lot of testing because, you see, I'd been a really healthy guy. I've been a pilot for a number of years, since actually 1984, and I'd gotten frequent medicals. So I felt that I had been doing my due diligence, get myself checked out to make sure I had some longevity. That I was going to enjoy retirement years, let's say. And come to find out, after a quick check to my regular doctor, he said, "Woo, we need to get you to a neurologist." I said, why? He said, I have a real sneaky suspicion you've got prostate cancer. And I said, I have what? What is prostate cancer? What are you talking about, PSA? And what is all this stuff? Honest to gosh, I had not even been informed. And, I guess I'll blame myself for that. The lack of knowledge of keeping up with the medical stuff, especially for men. I mean, the statistics are huge now that I know about it. That said, he got me right into a urologist, and they were deeply concerned and said, unfortunately, after a lot of testing, a lot of scans, we have some rather sad news for you. And I said, "And what is that, doctor?" Both my wife, Emily, and I sat down to listen to this choke, He said, "You've got about 6 months to a year to live." I said, "Wait, what? Who, me? And what? What do you mean?" He said, "You've got a very severe advanced case of prostate cancer. Your PSA count is what we call 957. After the biopsies that have been done, we call the Gleason score was 9 plus 5. Excuse me, it was 9. It was 5 plus 4. And I said, "I don't understand what any of that means." He said, "Well, it means it's pretty bad. And to be honest with you, we can't even offer you anything." I said, "What do you mean you can't offer me anything? The surgery?" He said, "No, surgery's out of the question." And honestly, he said, "No chemo, no radiation." I said, "Then what do I do? Just go home and get affairs in order?" He said, "That's what I would suggest." Well, I didn't take that very well. And of course, my darling wife, you might as well have taken a 2x4 and hit her across the head to get that kind of information given to us, where we hoped there would be something, knowing, okay, prostate cancer, well, maybe I always thought colon cancer was the worst thing you could have. And I guess maybe it still is, but this was bad. This was not a good situation. Went off to oncology because he had hoped that possibly they might have some kind of a new treatment or protocol, a blind study, something that I could get involved in that might give me a little bit more time. we did that. Wound up with a great oncologist. That lovely lady said, look, after all the tests and all the scans, the only thing I think that's left to do is for you to have a colonoscopy. And let's find out what's going on. Let's see if, in fact, you are, to the stage that we looked at 4 to 6 weeks ago. Luckily, the colonoscopy came out with 3 polyps and they were benign. After all the bone density scans came back with no cancer in my bones. And the spot that what they called was metastasized to lymph nodes, to colon, and liver. The liver spot wound up being so small, she did not consider it diseased. And I was like, wait a minute, what's happened? She said, you must pray a lot. I said, yes, ma'am, we do. And she said, this is unheard of, she said, typically, but I'm very happy. So let's keep you on a protocol of what they call Lupron and a pill called Casodex. And little by little, over a period of 6 months, that 957 PSA count came down to 0.12. Quite amazing, actually, quite amazing. And it stayed that way for a long time. And we'll get into what the side effects of that medication does to the male person as we move along. But right now, I want to bring on my 2 brothers in arms, Tracy Morgan and Pat Scheffler. I welcome you both to the show. Hey, Tracy. Hi, Pat. How are you?
Good.
All right. Can you hear me all right?
Yep. Hear you great. Doing great.
All right. Tracy, all set with video and volume?
I believe so.
Got to make sure we've got Tracy in there. I don't know. Do we, Tracy? You all set?
I'm good.
All right, good. All right. Well, welcome to the show, guys. Emily, that top banner, probably we can pull that out now, if you would. Here's the thing. We have never honestly physically met to give each other brotherly man-bro hugs, but we have met because we all share the common denominator we call advanced prostate cancer. And it is something that each one of us has the same story, so to speak, but also a different story.
Mm-hmm.
And that story is we have varying levels of what they call advanced prostate cancer. And more and more am I hearing about men that are developing this. And it's a sad, sad situation. So, Tracy, I'd like to start with you if I could, brother. Each one of us has this journey. We have our life story. We start to think when we start to grow old and get this kind of, lighter colored hair, as they call it, the ghosting effect, that we've got some longevity. We got some life to live. And tell me, tell our audience, when did you first find out about your prostate cancer, and then how? What happened?
May 3rd of last year. So had about 6 weeks of extreme lower back pain. Of course, the doctors make you got to go to physical therapy and you got to do this, you got to do that. I finally got an MRI. Took that in the morning of Friday morning. I get a call in the afternoon from the oncologist and says, you have an anomaly with your MRI. Get to the emergency room as soon as you can. So it was like cancer wasn't even in the thought process. So we go to the emergency room and they check, well, have you had an infection? Have you had chills? You had fevers? It's like, no, I haven't had any of that. Nurse goes out and it felt like it was forever before the doctor come in. And he gave us the news. I have prostate. First he says, you have prostate cancer. And I thought, probably could deal with that. Then it was spreading to your bones. That was the 2x4. It's like cancer spreading and bones just never goes together well. So we spent the weekend trying to figure out what was going on. I'm thinking I'm dying in 5 to 6 months. If I got spreading cancer in my bones, obviously I'm not going to be around long. Until we got back to my doctor Monday. He sends me a urologist on Tuesday, and I get told, that's prostate cancer, but it's all prostate cancer. We treat it all the same. It's all treatable. So then you get the big sigh of relief that, okay, so we're not going as fast as we thought we were going. From there, in order to get rid of the back pain, we did 10 days radiation on the back, took care of all the pain in the back. I actually had a tumor starting to grow around my spinal, the sac around the spinal cord that was causing the pain. So that was taken care of. They put me on Casodex right away at the beginning, and then that last week of radiation, I switched from Casodex to Firmagon shot and Zytiga with prednisone. So I've been on that ever since the end of last May. And I went from a 294 PSA, I'm down to 0.02 right now.
Wow. I guess my camera is defaulted, guys. Excuse me for a second. Let's see if I can bring me back in here. I'm having a technical difficulty. I bumped something, and I don't know what exactly happened, so I'm trying to... Here we go. Let's see if we can't do it this way.
Okay, Jeff, you got the two good-looking guys on the show, so...
There we go. Did it. I've got to move the chair instead of the thing. I've got a connection problem or something here. But anyway, wow. That's... how did you feel? I mean, I mean, each one of us goes through this, what? Say what? I've got what?
Yeah, you go through the why me and, all that type of stuff. And then you get a couple weeks into it and your head's starting to wrap around it. And at that time, I, finally said, okay, this is it. This is up to you, God. What are we doing here? So that made a big difference.
Wow.
Once you kind of get that load off your shoulders, it helps a lot. And then I went through radiation on the prostate in October for 20 days just to try to lessen that tumor. But so far right now, I'm feeling good. I don't look like I got stage 4 or advanced stage 4 cancer, but I do.
People say that to us, don't they? They say, wait a minute, excuse me, you have what? You look pretty good for a guy that's got cancer. Really? I wish you could jump in here and see how it feels.
Yeah, the side effects aren't great.
No, the side effects, but I wonder more than anything are the side effects, and in my situation, the side effects are more to do with that Casodex pill and the Lupron shot, and that's virtually all they say I can have. So, what treatments again have you actually gone through? I know you went over that, and then I lost my camera. So
I'm on a monthly Firmagon shot, and then Zytiga. It's working great. Other than you still get the same side effects.
Yeah. How do you feel it's changed what you've done in your life and what's going on?
Completely changed it. Different person.
Yeah.
I did a little write up last night. Posted a write up last night on my team group. I think you probably saw it today. My feeling through the whole thing, I've grown so much, I've learned so much, I've met so many great people. I actually had the thought process yesterday morning of, God said, well, let's have a redo. Let's take you back to the day of the MRI, and your MRI can come back, you messed up a disc or whatever in your back, or it comes back, you got cancer. And my answer was, I'll choose the cancer. My life is better now than it's been for a long time. It's just, people probably like, how would you ever do that? Well,
yeah,
it's just changed. I mean,
I think we like
I've met you. I've met Pat. I've met, my dear chapter director, Emily, that brings me up every day, and families, with families gotten closer, and it's just,
You got a cool mohawk out of it too.
Yeah, I probably should explain this.
I was just going to say that, Pat. Thanks for chiming in on that one.
I have two loving daughters.
How about that? Tell us about that. Let's talk about that mohawk, brother. Come on.
I have
Tell
two
us,
loving
why
daughters.
do you have that mohawk?
I posted a nice little picture of a bad hair day after coming off the treadmill. This was last Monday, week ago Monday. So my hair was getting longer, and everybody's, and so I said, my hair's protesting a stay-at-home policy. Immediately, my daughter's going to, Dad, you need a mohawk. And then it goes to, Dad, we challenge you that we'll raise this amount of money to have a mohawk. Well, anytime the challenge comes in, the fundraising, that's out of my mouth. How much? So we agreed for $1,000. they're going to raise 500, and each one we're going to put 250 in. So I said, $1,000. That's pretty good. Well, problem is, with about 5 minutes, the $1,000 was raised. We had one friend of the family that decided to, cha-ching, I got 500 in cash. Here you go. So they raised it to 1,500. By Thursday, we had the 1,500. So I thought, well, we need a little bit more. So I always had a mustache since 1982 boot camp. And I said, well, for 500 more, we'll take the mustache off. Well, we raised over $2,500 in less than a week.
Fantastic.
So, there you go.
That's great.
Mohawk,
I am so happy to hear that.
You look like it's 30. And I thought, wait, man, you must be looking good.
So, you've talked to us about how it's changed you, and you said to the better in some respect. And I can agree with that. And I know when we talk with you, Pat, you'll probably feel that too. There's not every day I can say that, because there are mornings I wake up where I go, Lord, why do I have this prostate cancer? And I have to look at it this way, and I have to give it up this way and say, because it's something that needs to be learned. It's something for the adjustment, so to speak, of the life that we're living in this existence right here. That each one of us has a story to tell. There's a guy that wrote a little book, and he said, do not waste your cancer. It's a little pocket book, and I was learning to dig it out this morning. I couldn't find it amongst my library. And do not waste your cancer. What do you mean, do not waste my cancer? And we can all relate to that. And there'll be guys out there that are listening that have family members with prostate cancer or any debilitating disease that's gone on. You can relate to do not waste that disease. And they said, well, why? So I read this story, and it pretty much said you have this to share with other people what they need to learn to go through hard times. And, prostate cancer has led us to some hard times, but it's led us to some beautiful times too, because we look at life differently. We look at life with a whole renewed situation of, you know what, we're not guaranteed the next second, the next minute, the next hour, the next day. Whereas before, a lot of people, and I'm going to say I wasn't quite this way, but a lot of people live their life thinking, I got the rest of my life, but they don't know when that is. Nor do any of us, but they don't think about it. They don't consider the fact when you're told, hey, you have a terminal disease. You have a time limit. It's like getting on the train and you've got your ticket, and the conductor comes by and he punches the ticket and says, oh, by the way, you're getting off the next stop.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't going to get off the next stop. I was going to go to the end of the rail. No, you're getting off the next stop. It's kind of what you hear. Talk about, we're going to talk about zero and prostate cancer. It's near and dear to all of our hearts for what is happening there and what's going on with zero. I want to get to you, Pat, as well. Tracy, you've done some phenomenal fundraising. You had the 5K this year. What's your goal coming up to run? Tell us that, if you would.
Well, ours got postponed, obviously, because it was May 30th and is now on September 19th. So, but we started fundraising early back in February and actually had, I don't know, over 5,000, I think, before the COVID stuff hit. But we've just kept on. We've done, this $2,500 worth, and then my wife.
That's an expensive haircut, brother.
Yeah. Hey, it's for.
I love it. I love it.
My motto is I'll do almost anything for zero, so I guess I did it. I don't know who else would like to have that haircut.
Amen.
But my wife and my two daughters also are making masks for people right now,
cool.
And that proceeds go same place, going to zero. So we've had good campaign so far. So we're almost at 10,000.
That's fantastic. That's so good to hear. Well, I want to move over to Brother Pat now. And Pat, if you get your mic up and on. I think you're muted at the moment.
I think it's
there.
Good.
We go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Loud and clear. You talk about mindset, and I'll be honest with you. One of the reasons I started with the radio shows years ago is because I trained under Tony Robbins, and for my first retirement, I decided I wanted to help people, so I trained under Tony Robbins Strategic Intervention. which is all to do with mindset and changing and flipping the switch. I learned hypnotherapy because I used it in a program that I developed to help coach people, and also what they call NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And NLP is all about flipping the switch. I think there's a very simple way to say it. NLP, strategic intervention, which is what Tony Robbins does, is simply intervening strategically into that's going on in the mindset that's helping a person stay stuck where they shouldn't be, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's kind of a funny way to say it, but we all stay stuck in mindsets. We wake up in the morning and something happens, we get in a bad attitude about something, and the next thing you know, we're doing something else as a result because the switch got flipped the wrong way and we had a reaction instead of responding to whatever the circumstance was. So talk to me about that, about mindset and how it changed for you.
Well, for me, I've always fortunately kind of subscribed to the theory that mindset is really the way you live your life. And so one thing that it's done from a selfish perspective as far as mindset is it's proven to me that my mindset and the way I've lived my life is authentic, right? Because when something like this happens, it really forces you to be a certain way. And when you can remain true to the way that you are or were before you heard this kind of news, it really gives you a chance to, prove to yourself that you've been authentic your whole life. In other words, I've always had a mindset that, being of a positive mindset is really the most important thing that you can have in your life, right? And if you exude positive energy and positive vibes, that's the way you're going to be. That'll rub off on other people. And so one thing that I've done, other than that initial period that we'll talk about when I first heard that I had it, I mean, after that shock wore off, I really have tried to remain positive, and I think it's very important. And I think that what happens is when you do that, you bring it out to the world that that this is something that is just part of your journey, my journey now, and it's my new reality. And having said that, we need to stay the same in terms of our positive outlook. It doesn't change anything from the mindset perspective.
I'm glad you brought this up because I watched something yesterday in one of my lazy moments where I said, I got to take a rest. I've been doing a lot of stuff and doing a lot of online stuff, working. And I said, I remember a guy by the name of Greg Brayton, and he's pretty cool about this stuff. So I found him on a network and I listened, and he said that the mindset actually helps the body heal. A positive mindset versus a negative mindset actually changes the DNA in our body, that it relaxes the DNA and gives it a chance to heal like it's naturally supposed to do. We were created to be able to heal. And a lot of people say that's not possible. How could you even believe that? I said, because I do believe it. And not only did they say it from a point of how God created us, but they say it from a point of science now, that they have proven that the human DNA has the capability of healing itself, that the skin changes automatically. And there's all kinds of change going on in our human structure every moment of every day. So a lot of people have said, how could you possibly have healed? How could you possibly have healed from stage 4 prostate cancer? And I said, I'm going to give that one up. Okay, because it's how we were created. I believe it had everything to do with that. It had to do with what you're talking about right now, a positive mental attitude. We call it PMA, not PSA, but PMA. And it is really true. It is really true. And, I know you've got it, and I know Tracy's got it, and you have brought it about in a lot of people with your 31 days. And when you started that, I said, this is awesome. I mean, this is really awesome that people are getting to post what's going on and not post a little bit of stuff going on that's bringing them down, but they can do something and tell people, which is okay to do, that they have a positive outlook, that they have something going on that they've strived for, that they've completed, whether it's a 5K run, whether it's a walk around the block, whether it's a 10 push-ups, whatever they can possibly do to help their mindset in a positive with a positive mental attitude. And I love that. I'm all about that. But I will be honest with you, guys, and a lot of people with prostate cancer will tell you this. There's some moments where I ain't so positive.
Yeah, and so let me
just
jump
kinda
in really
creeps
quick,
in.
Jeff, if you don't mind. So it's interesting because I started this group 31 days at the beginning of the year with the intent of people normally make New Year's resolutions based around health, and so I wanted to do something that wouldn't be overwhelming because people start a New Year's resolution and never follow through, or generally don't. So I wanted to do something that was a short period of time that you work out or exercise for 30 minutes a day, no matter what it is, something positive and positive energy thoughts, meditation, yoga, working out, walking, whatever, for 31 days. And so after January, it morphed into let's do February and so on. But what's cool about it is when you're in an environment like that, it morphed from that, which it still is, right? It's still based around exercise and physical fitness and all that, but it's really morphed into what we all commonly have, and that's positive vibes, right? And so what's happened is we get these posts from all these people, whether they have cancer, they have heart disease, or they have diabetes, or they don't have anything, and they're sharing these stories of uplifting other people. And it's amazing how many private messages and calls and texts and things I get, and the posts in there as well. And it's phenomenal. I have another group called Scheffler Strong in Facebook, and that's because my daughter and my wife created this environment where they surprised me with T-shirts and all this stuff right after I found out that I had prostate cancer. But it was just so emotionally charging and uplifting that I created this group, Scheffler Strong, as a result of that. And that's very similar to 31 days. But the point I'm making is that when we can come together in community, whether it's through Facebook and social media or in our own lives or whatever, people now are starting to find out through COVID that people can really unite online. But it's really an amazing thing. And I think it's really important that I think what I want people to take from this, though, is that whatever kind of cancer or challenge that you have in your life, there's always hope. There's always hope that you can have a lot of benefit come from any situation, whether it's positive or negative. It's really about how you approach it in your mind and how you exude positive energy, positive vibes. That doesn't mean that every day is going to be perfect, like you touched on, or every day will be great. What it does mean, though, is that if we work on it and we acknowledge that does make a difference, it will make a difference. And I couldn't agree more with what you said in terms of oxidative stress and the things that help you heal. And part of that is a positive mindset. So I appreciate that.
Jeff, let me jump in here. I want
to
just say something to Pat. I want to thank Pat because I got involved with 31 days right at the beginning of January. And I've been trying to train to get up to this, 5K level. And him and his group are just fantastic. I mean, I don't think I would have got where I'm at right now without the help of your group, Pat. It's
the people in it, man. I really, that's kind of my point, that I started it just with a little couple people, and it's the people in it are so magnetic and amazing. So thank you. I appreciate that, Tracy. You're a part of it and you make it great.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I did the first 31 and then I got off in another direction. I'm coming back because I'll tell you what, I do remember how great it was when you first started that, and Chef was strong as well. When we go back and think about our journey with prostate cancer, Pat, when did you find out?
I found out in March of 2018. Actually, my oldest son, I always say he saved my life because it's interesting. He's an insurance agent, and it's kind of, again, it's a nice story of how the heart works. And I was really trying to help him hit a bonus and get a little more life insurance. And as a result, the poor guy called me back after the testing came back and he said, "Have you had your PSA or your prostate check lately?" And I said, "Yeah, like a little over a year ago," and it was normal. And mine was super anomalous. They don't normally grow this aggressively this quickly, but mine did. But that's how I found out. I found out just over 2 years ago, and my son told me basically that it was really abnormally high on my PSA, and so that's how I found out. It was me trying to, sort of do something that was nice. But again, that act is really what ended up saving my life, which is really, really interesting. Jeffrey's frozen, I think.
It appears he is.
Yep. Is he back? So
Jeff, all right, we're back.
Okay, there he is.
There are so many people on the internet these days.
Yeah,
we're back.
I was just saying that I found out in March of 2018.
Was it my end?
Yeah, we were here.
All right, great. I don't know what's going on with this thing today. I have made a little bit of a complaint about lack of internet lately. For what we have is supposed to be like 100 megabits, and I think they took it away. Yeah, we can all remember that day well when we heard those words, and so you've been making some great changes. I'll tell you what, with the groups you just talked about. I mean, personally, and the prognosis you got, and from then to now, I mean, it's changed your life dramatically, hasn't it?
Wow. I mean, like I said, I could talk about this for hours and probably bore everyone to death. But I mean, the reality is, I do remember, kind of to piggyback on that last question, I do remember the moment that I found out. I remember thinking, the one thought that sticks out in my mind, and my daughter, I have 3 grown kids who are all now graduated college and moved out and have careers. But she was about to graduate in May, and this was March. And I said to the doctors, I go, I don't care what you do, I'm not missing her graduation, right? So weird things like that go through your mind, right? It's amazing how we all have sort of something that goes through our mind. I know Tracy had mentioned, and Jeffrey, you mentioned, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die tomorrow, and so I think our brains tend to go that direction because, what's going to happen, worst case scenario. But fast forwarding it, and again, it's not really me. It's really the people that are around me that have helped me really stay positive. But what we did was, in June, sorry guys, June we had a softball game. I play in a league with 2 of my grown sons, and I play in the same team, same league I played in with my dad years earlier. It's really cool. But I showed up to the game, and my son had a Positive Vibe shirt on, and it said Scheffler Strong in the back, and I didn't think anything of it, right? Then my other son showed up with the same shirt on. I thought, wow, that's really cool. I want a shirt, Then my mom and dad showed up, and they had the shirt on, and then a bunch of friends showed up, and I thought, wow, this is crazy. Well, we played our game. We took some pictures with the people that had their shirts on. I didn't have any really clue what was going on. We went to a local pizza place after the game. And this was only a couple of months after I found out that I had it. And I was kind of sort of still in that research phase and all this kind of mind going 100 million miles an hour. So we go to this pizza place, and someone said, check Facebook. So I looked on Facebook, and there were literally hundreds of people all over the world who were posting at the same time with the Scheffler Strong Positive Vibe shirt on. And my daughter and my wife coordinated this. And I just started crying, getting all emotional inside of this pizza place.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable. And I just thought at that moment, whatever I do the rest of my life, I'm going to try and really have other people feel what I feel right now. And that's just overwhelming, like,
wow,
love and support. And I just wanted to make that my mission for the rest of my life, So anyway, fast forwarding, there was an event for Zero, which we'll talk about more. A great organization that spends, their entire existence helping awareness and prostate cancer research and all these other great things. So in September, this is June, September, they had a prostate cancer walk in San Diego. And we were the top fundraising team in the entire country last 2018. And I thought, again, it's funny how this works, but it wasn't really what I did or even the people that I knew did. It was really the feeling that we all got having this unity and this communion and this group of people who were positive and like-minded. And really, there were so many people that it had a positive impact on. And so we just continued through, right? And we just kept sort of bringing awareness. And what I'm proud of that we've done is not only raise awareness, but one thing that I found in this journey as it relates to men and women as it relates to prostate cancer is a lot of guys, so the first step is awareness, because a lot of guys don't even know what a prostate is. They secondarily don't know what prostate cancer is.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
They don't know what it is. But even then, the guys that do, I've met a ton of guys that know they have prostate cancer, maybe low grade, but they don't do anything about it because they're scared. So the two things I want to do is bring out awareness, which is step one, but also let men know, listen, man, this A isn't the end of the world. And B, there are treatments, and you don't prejudge all these things that might or might not happen based on what you think that it is. So I think we've done a really good job of reaching out. I've had, again, literally hundreds of men who have reached out to me that have said, what do I do? And I've gotten a lot of guys that have even gone from one facility to where I went, which I am a little biased, but I think it's one of the best facilities in the world. So anyway, that's kind of how it's changed me from the perspective of I've always been positive and outgoing, kind of, in this space. But now it's like I have a defined feeling that I want people to feel, and that's that there's universal love in the world, and that you can be part of that community no matter where you are in life. And so I felt that, and I still feel it, and I want other people to feel it too. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, you have, and yes, you do, and Tracy does too. And I want to tell you a quick story, the little ad lib. When Emily and I first found out, we getting near my retirement of what I called retirement. I'd already retired and sold my other businesses, but from a coaching perspective, I said, I want to take more time, and I don't want to be in the cold winter of New England. I want to head down to Florida or someplace, or the islands of the Bahamas. We're going to do something. So we went and bought ourselves a big boat. All right. And I shouldn't call it a boat. It was called a yacht. And it wasn't that expensive, but, people look at a yacht, over 30 feet, and they go, whoa, well, you got money. I said, it's nothing to do with that. I bought it cheap, and it needs some work. The grand story is we worked a whole summer to get it ready to go in the water, to leave in October, to go down the East Coast and go down the inlet, what they call it, the inner seaway there, and head for Florida. We found a place near Fort Myers, very inexpensive to stay at for the month with all the hookups and everything else. Well, here I go, and I get diagnosed with prostate cancer. So by the end of that summer, I said, this is a dream we're going to have to put on hold, or maybe we're going to cancel it. Let's sell it. Let's cash out, and we'll find it. We'll use that money, and we'll go find a place to stay for part of the winter. At least get out of the cold, because the cold weather is just brutal on my body, especially with the cancer. So we put it up for sale, and luckily it sold pretty quickly to a couple of friends of ours. And I went in the office to talk to them to say, listen, we're paid up to the end of the month for the yard storage. Long story short, the lady at the desk just kind of looked at me, and her eyes filled up with tears. And I said, Nancy, is everything okay? She said, oh, Jeff, she said, I wish you had met my husband. I said, okay. Now, immediately, having been a coach, when somebody says, I wish you had, past tense, right? And I said, well, what happened? Your husband is no longer with you? She said, no. She said, he wound up with the same diagnosis that you did over a year ago. I said, okay. She said, he was told by the urologist he had 6 months to 12 to live. Okay. She said, he went home, sat in his chair, and died in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they say big boys aren't supposed to cry. Well, let me tell you, these eyes leak a lot, especially when you get into situations like this. And I cried like a baby. And I was so emotional to hear this, because, Pat, what you just referred to about people that they either don't want to believe, or they totally believe and say, my hands are washed, I've been given my card to exit, and I'm done, I'm gone. And it is so, so nerving, because that didn't have to be the end of that man's life. And she said he couldn't even hardly talk. He had a stuttering effect. He had allowed himself to go to that extreme to say, I am already dead. And he died. And she was heartbroken. So that's a true sad story. There's a lot more that people I've talked to and people I've coached that have cancer or other debilitating diseases, not beliefs. Right now, I want to take a little intermission, and I'd like to introduce everybody, especially our listeners that don't know about Zero and prostate cancer. We have a short advert. It's the most recent. Emily calls them adverts in Europe. I know it's advertising, but it's we have a very short video I want you guys to watch. for about a minute 45 seconds, a minute 40 seconds, and give you guys a break to stand up and stretch your legs as well. So, Emily, if you would, my darling producer. Let's see if this thing will queue up correctly. She's going to do a share screen to make this happen. So, here we go.
Hello to all our prostate cancer patients and survivors,
caregivers, and doctors.
Hello, donors and Zero champions.
These are uncertain times, but Zero is here for you.
The world may be changing,
but our mission is the same.
We are here to end prostate cancer.
So that means we're still working.
Bedrooms.
And just about any place you could find with good Wi-Fi.
Zero is here for you.
You have an open invitation to Zero Connect, our Facebook support group.
And if you need help finding financial support,
or if you have questions about your insurance,
Zero 360 case managers are working and ready to help.
If you're looking for something more one-on-one,
Zero's mentors are waiting for you.
All of our programs are front and center at Zero's website, zerocancer.org.
you are our priority.
And rest assured, we're coming up with new and creative ways to keep you informed and engaged.
Virtual high fives.
And virtual hugs.
And virtual love to all.
Please remember, we're staying Zero strong.
We want you to stay Zero strong.
Zero strong.
Zero strong.
Zero strong. So together, let's stay Zero strong.
Okay, there we go. That's the most recent, and this is not any paid advertising by Zero End Prostate Cancer. This is us, guys, folks that are listening. This is us respecting Zero. The president of Zero, Mr. Jamie Bierce, I got to talk about Jamie for a minute, and you guys know what I'm going to say. A couple of weeks ago, he wasn't feeling so good, and as a result, after getting a checkup, found out he was COVID-19 positive. It was a sad thing to hear because a lot of people don't and haven't. We got over 57,000 deaths in this country right now as a result of COVID-19. And statistically, if my era was the Vietnam War, we lost over just about the same, was over 50,000 men in that war, but that was over a period of 10 years. This is in a period of 9 days. We've lost 57,000 people. So I was very, very happy to see another video that was done by Jamie in the office, that he is doing much better. He's at home. He's doing much better. So he is not with us today. So he's playing catch up, of course, with his office work, but he will, hopefully in a future date, join us. But here's the thing. Zero End Prostate Cancer has been very, very good. For a lot of people, as Pat said, the awareness factor, and I want to touch on that, guys. And I know Tracy, you've felt it too. I'm sure people that hear you have prostate cancer, I think they figure, what you see in the movies when they take somebody out of a jail cell and they're going to lead him down to end his life with a lethal injection or what they're going to do with him. Dead man walking. And I don't think they quite know how to deal with it because that's what they think, unfortunately. And then they look at us and we look pretty good, like, whoa, you have cancer? Well, it must not be too bad, huh? Well, what do you think and what do you feel when somebody tells you that you've got a deadly disease? I mean, cancer as we know it in this lifetime is bad stuff. The prostate cancer is something, as we've already mentioned, that is totally unaware to most men. And I say most men because I think, Pat, you hit the nail on the head. If they get a little inkling of the hair a little bit, no, not me. I actually acted that way about colon cancer, to be honest with you. I said, you know what? And my dad died of cancer. At the age of 62, I think he was 62, 64, he passed, and that's a number of years ago now. And I remember it well, and I didn't know he had cancer. And the next thing you know, I heard he's got cancer, and he only had so many months to live. And he actually went quicker because they brought him in and tried to see if they could do something for him surgically. They closed him back up and said no, they couldn't do anything. And it wasn't prostate cancer, and it wasn't lung cancer. It was a stomach type of a cancer, but it was all through colon, etc. And he didn't make it. He didn't make it. So we need to make sure. And I say we, all of us, I don't mean just the three guys that are here and our wives and our families. All of us need to make sure that loved ones are told, the men in your life, your fathers, your uncles, your brothers, whomever it is. Joe Bullock, thank you, brother, for being here. Joe knows all about this as well. We need to make sure people, awareness is key. Awareness, and along with awareness is the word prevention. And Zero is very good about that. They also have a phenomenal support staff. You know, wives sometimes have some difficulties dealing with us men with cancer. I know this Lupron shot I'm on causes me to go loopy. I call it the loopy shot because its side effects are brutal. And, you know, they're actually pumping female hormones into a male body. And I'm 6'4", 250 pounds. I'm not supposed to have female estrogen running around in me. But then again, it's testosterone of men that's caused this prostate to act up so bad. Too much tea, right? And then they toot the horn with all these drugs and prescriptions out there. Let's increase your tea. Well, you know what? Ain't got no tea no more. And, you know, as a result, the manly thing doesn't go so well either. And women, unfortunately, have a tough time with that, with their man not being their man, so to speak, anymore. They need support. But women have been, I've seen it, that the wives and the daughters and the family members have been huge in this supporting the men, especially with you guys. I mean, I've seen it and seen it and seen it, and I love it. We need to make that happen. We need to keep that going. And I know you guys are all about that awareness. Emily, I don't believe my Emily Miller, Mrs. Miller, won't mind me saying this. They also have now on the Zero front a support staff for the wives, you know, for women that are helping, you know, the caregivers for their men with prostate cancer. She spoke to somebody last week, and it made a world of difference. A world of difference, because she spoke to another woman whose husband has had it for a number of years, and he's had the ups and the downs, and luckily he's still with us. He's still with her. So she was able to talk to Emily to help answer those questions. So women need that support too. Women need to be able to stick together. And I think that typically goes with life. But when it comes to this PC that us guys are going through, we are going through some tremendous changes in our bodies because of medications. The prostate cancer too. And I know you guys will probably want to chime in on that.
Yeah, I do.
As far as the
it's
side effects,
yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, for sure. So a couple things.
No, please.
So first of all, it's interesting. This is a totally sort of semi-political kind of statement that is not necessarily directly geared towards prostate cancer, but it really is. You mentioned, you know, the T clinics and all the advertising for testosterone, low T. I still can't wrap my head around why that is. It's not illegal to not have guys checked with the PSA test before they do that. Because I know personally a lot of guys that had gone through that treatment, and they're really feeding their cancer because they don't take the time to get a PSA test, yet they're complaining about being tired, and all this advertising feeds into them, and then they get testosterone shots, and they're feeding their cancer they already have, they don't know they have. So kind of a soapbox, but it's kind of annoying that, you know, like everything else in this world, advertising and all this other stuff and big business and everything. So I would encourage any guys listening to this, though, if you do get testosterone shots, I'm not judging. What I'm saying is make sure you have a PSA test drawn at least first. And by the way, while I'm on that subject, there's a big misnomer. You don't, and not that it's a big deal, but you don't have to have like a urological exam necessarily. Get PSA. It's a blood draw. Literally, you don't even have to go to your doctor. They have clinics all over the place for $50. You can go have your blood drawn, and they'll let you know your PSA number. And you can research what that means. But the bottom line is you can get a baseline starting when you're 30, 40 years old. It's not intrusive, nothing at all. And you have a baseline. So again, that's kind of, it's kind of something that guys don't know about, because every guy I ever talk to is like, oh, I don't want to get that exam. It's like, first of all, is it that, or do you want advanced cancer? I think it's not that big of a deal. And second of all, start somewhere easier then. Okay. Start somewhere though. But no, you're right. And here's the interesting thing that I found about this whole thing as it relates to relationships and men and women and all that. You and I were talking about this a little bit before too, Jeffrey. And I got to admit, I was super, super, super lucky and really blessed. A lot of that had to do with that I'm in super good shape before I got prostate cancer, and I was relatively young, but I haven't had any really lucky. I didn't have any real side effects after the first couple of months after surgery. So I'm real blessed in that regard. But here's the interesting thing to me. Here's what I've learned. I've learned that guys, like you said, tend to be worried about what the women in their life will think. But overwhelmingly,
correct,
the women don't care. They want their husband to be healthy in their head, and they want them to get better physically. They don't care about all that other stuff that guys think that they will care about. They don't. And because we've all seen in these groups, women are the ones oftentimes that are in there going, my husband has this or my husband has that. And I swear I've had 100 women reach out to me in 2.5 years saying, Pat, my husband won't go get rechecked. His PSA was 12 and he's just going to ignore it now. And I'll get on the phone with him. I'm blessed to have had an opportunity to talk to these people, because 70 or 80% of those guys then go get in and get proper treatment. So you're right. It's all about the mind space though, Jeff. It's like guys think what will happen to them if they find out. They also assume what they think that women will think when they find out that they have something if they do. Guys, don't worry about what you think might happen, because what will happen is if you don't do anything, it'll become advanced to the point where it may be too late. One of the great things about prostate cancer is, and it is a little annoying when people hear you have prostate cancer, they go, oh, that's good. That's the best cancer to have. Right, guys? It's like, there's no good cancer to have. I mean, no cancer. But having said that, I know, Jeffrey, you're laughing because you hear it all the time. But the good news is if you find it early, you can do a lot about it. So guys, it's really kind of like what you said, Jeff, about the guy who sat there and said, basically in so many words, I'm going to die. It's over. And he did. All of this stuff, guys, in life, whether it's personal, relationships, business, cancer, negative, positive, it's all what you put in your mind. It's all what we think and how we think. And when we think positively about any of this stuff, whether it's assuming or reality, we're going to have much better outcomes if we look at this from a positive perspective. So that's my take on it.
Pat, you're exactly right with all that. Because
and so correct. Go ahead.
I was always the guy that said, I don't need to go to the doctor. I don't want to go to the doctor. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yep.
And all that, jazz.
I hear you.
Didn't go to a doctor for years and years. Started at a new doctor a few months before my diagnosis. And of course, he goes through all the questions and stuff that lead you into what would take you further down the road. Are you having any urinary problems and stuff? Oh, no. I'm fine. I lied through my teeth. So I go another 2 or 3 months and not that it probably would have made any difference in that time frame, but, get the hard news of advanced stage 4. And, then as you get a little bit farther into it, you start learning about 5-year survival rates. And it's like, okay, this is bad. And that's where my awareness wants to go out, just like you, Pat, that it's like, you guys got to start listening. I mean, like you say, it's a PSA test. It's as simple as you can get. Because if you wait, you're going to be like me. I don't know. I may live another 20 years. I hope. I may not. But the problem is, too, what's our audience? Men. That's the problem. We're talking to men. So you start talking on the level of, have you had I had a guy down, a friend of mine, right in town here, a couple months back. We're down at the fire station, and he come in and said, hey, have you had your PSA check? First, I said, how old are you? 50? I said, have you had your PSA check? Well, I don't think so. So we sat down and had a little bit of talk, but the first part of it is when you're saying, well, if you catch this early, you're going to, you got 99% chance you're going to survive. So that, I think, goes in one ear, right out the other. It goes, oh, what to do, whatever. Well, yeah. Tell them the other side of it if you don't, which is what I told him, what my survival rate is. And it's all of a sudden, it's like, the eyeballs go open, the ears go open at the same time, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I should do this. Maybe I should.
Yeah, absolutely. The reverse is true, right? Also, right, where I know a lot of guys that had put off getting tested in any way forever, right? And they're, I'm in my mid 50s, and so my friends are too. But people hit that 50-year mark. I say 40, or if you have family history, 35 or 30 now with PSAs. But at 50, and they put it off, and because of me or you or whoever, they go get tested. The other part of it is true too, because it's a very small percentage you have it, right? The relief, like the quality of life, like oh my God, I don't have, it's like 0.05 or whatever. It's like, okay, aren't you glad you had it now? So you don't have to in the back of your mind worry. Yes, thank you. So again, it's a whole entire experience of it. And one last thing really quick, because I know we're kind of talking as if though everyone knows what we're talking about. PSA guys, we're not talking about public service announcements. We're talking about prostate-specific antigens, and a simple blood draw will tell you what that number is. Right. And again, won't get into the specifics, but you can Google it or whatever. Talk to your doctor. It's very basic stuff. You can start there.
I'm going to bring up something. I'm going to take the screen up for a minute, and I want everybody to take a peek at this. All right, these are the stats right now. Okay. In 2019 and 2020, you can see the comparison between the years. This is the real deal, folks. And this information says we believe no man should face prostate cancer alone. To learn more about risk factors, early detection, and treatment options. Now, look at this. Estimated new cases. Let's look at the 2 years, 2019, 2020. Went from 174, 650 up to 191, 930. I think it's like 1 in 7. Right now, men are going to have prostate cancer. Estimated deaths. This is the tough stuff to swallow. 2019 went 31,620, and they have that number for a fact now, to 33,330 for this year, and we're not even through this year. A man will be diagnosed every 3 minutes in 2019, 2.7. Okay, so it's getting worse. It isn't getting better. It's kind of like somebody saying, oh, the virus came back, except this is cancer we're talking about. So, and look at that. 17 minutes in 2019, a man will die from this disease every 17 minutes, now down to 16. We've lost a minute. So when you think about that, wow. I mean, it just, I read those stats, and a lot of people say, well, that's statistical stuff. I don't know if we can believe that. Believe it. Believe it. If there's anything that you can do, and ladies, it, anybody that's listening to this, and I want to thank those that are on, by the way. We've got quite a few people in the chat, and they've been talking about a lot of great stuff. I think we've got another comment up right now. Let's see. David Patton, Zero Group in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, past raising the, wow, look at that number. Emily just brought it back up again. $1 million mark this past September. This is awareness, guys. They aren't hiring the doctors to make us better. This is all about awareness and finding a way to end prostate cancer, to get rid of it, so that it is not the issue it is. So, and Zero is not the only one out there that's working in this regard. And as far as support groups go, Zero is not the only support group. We've got Joe Bullock here. Joe's got a phenomenal, fantastic support group going. And Joe, chime in there, in the chat if you're still with us, brother. And there are others. There are other people that have reached out and talked to me and said, hey, well, I'd like to have you, talk to us about, we heard you were 957 on the PSA and a Gleason of 9. Whoa. Yeah. Well, this sounds crazy. A lot of guys are saying, well, I've got a PSA of 10 or 12 or 14 and a Gleason of 8 or 9. And they are scared because, cancer is cancer, and cancer is a killer. And anything, we think about it, it's our bodies reacting to something is what it boils down to. Mm-hmm. It's reacting to something within our system. It's cells that have gone rogue, that are attacking areas in the body that aren't in the prime of health. Now, you guys that are very, 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 very up on your exercise and staying fit and active, you are going to do a lot better than a guy who is not. And that's another very important thing to talk about is activity, exercise. And I will be honest with you, I haven't utilized this particular piece of equipment as much as I should. And when I do, I feel better. And it's called a mini rebounder. And what I learned from a lymphologist, and I'm going to have him on one of our next shows, he actually lives in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Thank you, Joe, the Howling Place. We'll put that up. And manucancer.com. Here we go. His name is Sean Connell, and he's a certified lymphologist, and he works with doctors all the time. And he will tell you that cancer can be diminished by making sure the lymph system is flowing correctly. Disease in our body, and I'm not a doctor. Okay, we're going to put that out there right now. We are not medical professionals.
What, you're not?
We are specifically speaking. No, I'm not.
Dr.
I'm
Miller.
speaking with you guys, all of you, because we are speaking to you from a point of awareness. You know, we had to become aware about this stuff to know how are we going to keep this thing positive? How are we going to keep our PMA going, our positive mental attitude? What can we do to better and increase longevity? Activity, walking, exercise, the right diet, all this is extremely important. But this mini rebounder is only 3 foot. It was 100 and change from Amazon. It's got a handle on it, and it is you could drive a truck on it, it won't break. It's got that type of warranty. So even a big heavy set for a person that needs that activity, when you don't jump, you just bounce and allow your feet to go up and down on the rebounder. And I'll tell you what, it drains the lymph system. 5 minutes a day is equal to a 30-minute aerobic workout for your lymph system. And I'm like, what? And the lymph system carries the disease. That's one thing that I found that works very well, and it has helped me. The other thing, people laugh at this. I'm going to tell you, they really laugh. And again, I'm not asking you to ingest anything. We've had enough of listening to that about this COVID-19, what people should be taking and not taking. So I'm not going to get into it. But I will tell you what I've done. And it has to do with Arm & Hammer baking soda. Now, if we all think of a swimming pool, the swimming pool that is not alkaline neutral turns green and gucky. It gets slimy. The pH is off, right? The human body is a water body. If its pH is off, and why would its pH be? Why would our pH be off? Well, think of the trash that a lot of people eat. No offense, I'm not picking on anybody, but they go through the McDonald's drive-thru, and I am picking on them. They eat the fast food, they drink a lot of soda pop or whatever you want to call it. And their diet, their structure has become, their internals have become too acidic. And if your body is too acidic and your human body, which is a water body, again, is not balanced to some degree in alkalinity through the day, disease gets an opportunity to say, hey, let's stop here and create some havoc. Well, and us guys, well, guess where it stopped? Why does that happen? Well, they said that prostate cancer is the old man's disease. Everybody's going to get it, just going to get it, you're going to die. Well, no, because now guys, as you said, Pat, in their 30s are getting it. You know, that isn't an old guy. You know, I don't even want to think I'm an old guy, and I'm 67. You know, but the bottom line is this. We can do something to help reverse that effect by keeping our bodies alkaline. So this is what I was taught by this lymphologist, and I actually laughed at him when he told me this, everybody. So if you want to laugh at me, laugh. But I'll tell you, since July of 2018, almost every day of my life since, I have this drink. It's my morning cocktail, I call it, and it is a teaspoon of baking soda in a tall glass. It is a shot of organic honey or blackstrap molasses or maple syrup, whatever you prefer, to take the taste away, you know, to give you a little sweetness there. And then it's a tablespoon of organic apple cider vinegar on top of that with the mother in it. And you fill it up with water, not cold water, warm water, preferably filtered water, a good bottle of water, or from your tap if you get a filter. And I down that big tall glass every morning. When I get up at 5:30 in the morning, I come to the kitchen. It's the first thing I do. Well, what am I setting myself for? A balanced alkaline body. And I wait a good hour. I still have coffee. I'll still have my bacon and eggs and things like that and eat, you know, but we watch the portions. That, and then I bought a test strip, a little roll of test strip, and I checked from urinalysis. And they say it's not the best way to check the pH of the body, but it's pretty darn good. You can also use saliva. You can put it on your tongue. And you need to be in the 7.3 to 7.6 or 7 range consistently. Now, Here's the interesting thing. Scientifically, again, the medical profession says disease does not want to live in a balanced alkaline body. So what can we do? What can we do? These are some of the things you can do. Now, I'm not telling you to go and ingest anything or drink the Kool-Aid. I'm telling you something that's worked for me. If anybody wants information on it, it's online. You can find it. You know what? And let's go back to what you said earlier, Pat. If it has to do with this, maybe it's a placebo effect. Maybe it doesn't do a blatant thing for me. But if I have that attitude that this is helping me, just like going out and taking a run, this is helping my body exercise, just like eating the right food, then it is.
Yeah.
It simply is. So let's see. David Patton just said, That's good to know, David.
That's
Your
really cool.
urology group offers free PSA screens. That's exactly what we're talking about. If more men knew that, and Pat, you're absolutely right. It's a simple blood test. I mean, it's that easy to get checked. And you, like you said, go into the local clinic for $50 and it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. If you're lucky enough to have insurance to pay for it. I mean, they want you to stay healthy. They don't want to pay for you having cancer.
Trust me, it costs a lot more.
Yeah.
Hey, also on that point, Jeffrey, you're exactly right. And it goes to the misconceptions of prostate cancer, right? There's different stigmas with different cancers. But again, being transparent and open about the conversation, there are misconceptions about it. And a lot of that actually hurts people when it comes to, their willingness to get tested. And those are things like what you just said. I've heard things very commonly like, well, most guys that have prostate cancer die of other things. They don't really die of prostate cancer. That's one of them. That's totally false, right? 35,000 deaths.
Yep.
The other thing is it's an older person's disease. It's true that as you get older, your chances are higher for getting it. That doesn't mean I know personally at least 6 guys that have died in their 30s from prostate cancer personally. Not people that I knew that I've met through this that have since passed, and that it's something that there are some kind of weird effects that will make you a different person if you get treated for prostate cancer. None of that is necessarily true, and 2 of the 3 are 100% not true. So that's why I say, obviously now there's history of it in my family, so my boys are going to be getting PSA checks when they're 30 because. Not to see what it is, but to develop that baseline, right? 30, 35, 40, then every year and so on. And, then if it starts to rise, you have a baseline. It's super common sense, but in part because of the misconceptions. Even if you get it, you're fine. You'll die of something other than that, even if you have it. That's so wrong, really, to be totally honest. And that it's an older person's disease. And listen, the other part of it is I'm as healthy as they come. I've never smoked. I play basketball constantly. I run marathons. But I got it. There's no cancer doesn't care, right? It doesn't care. It's going to get you in some instances, no matter what. So why not take the steps to make sure that you don't have it? And if you do, you can detect it early. So again, you're right. It's all about those sort of misconceptions in out in the world, and hopefully we can clear that up and help people understand those aren't necessarily the truth.
Excellent. I wanted to bring this back up. Chris Metzger, thank you for posting. My husband's a 26-year survivor due to early detection.
That's awesome.
I think that's what we're talking.
That's my sister.
Right there. Isn't that fantastic?
Nice.
Yeah,
awesome.
Right. Wow. We've been carrying this. We're well over an hour, and I'm not complaining because I think this is a definite. I never said that we were going to cap this thing at an hour. Traditionally, we figure we run the show about an hour, but this is so important. I want to know if anybody else out there has got any questions of either of these two guys or myself. Research is being done regularly on a daily basis. That's one of the reasons that Zero has their big powwow in Washington, D.C. to go after. And you guys have been there. I haven't. The first year that I was invited to go. You haven't been either, Tracy? Okay, the first year I was invited to go. I thought
I'm going next spring.
Yeah. There you go. I want to go to the next two. Emily and I do. I haven't been to actually two. This year, one year we had our in-laws. My in-laws were here from England for a month with us, and I just couldn't leave them and go. And the first year, I just didn't feel up to the travel. To be quite honest with you, this thing hit me, and luckily, and I say luckily, I guess just strategically, I have been able to have that positive mental attitude most of my life, and I learned it through the School of Hard Knocks. So it's something that everybody can design in their life. It's not anything that you can say, oh, if you knew what my life was like, you'd never have a good attitude. That's not true. Everybody can change their mind. It's what you take in. Joe is asking what is considered to be what is considered to be a normal PSA. Again, we're not medical professionals, and guys, you have a better answer than I do. My understanding is it's based on the person and their age. Some doctors are saying there's a normal level based on age, like 6 or 7 for a guy in his upper 60s and 70s isn't so bad. You know, that if he develops prostate cancer in his late 60s or 70s and he's got a 6 or a 7, putting him on something now, but not necessarily surgery. I've heard that. So I don't know that I can actually honestly answer that question, Joe. Do you guys know?
Yeah, I have an opinion.
Younger 4, isn't it, Pat?
Yeah, right, exactly. So generally speaking, they say that if you're, under 50 or 60, even under 4 is where you want to be. If it's over 4, really at any age, you really want to, get a DRE, go to your urologist, and potentially then have a biopsy. But that, obviously, if it's over 4, you want to get a DRE, a digital exam, and see from there. But yeah, generally it's 4 for a healthy person. Obviously, when you have prostate cancer, it's totally different when you've had surgery and those kinds of things. But for a healthy adult, it's 4. I do want to point another thing out, Jeff, and that's a couple of points. One, I want to give a shout out to PCF, Prostate Cancer Foundation in Los Angeles. They have been an unbelievably amazing resource for me personally as it relates to giving me information for doctors, different doctors and different facilities and different things like that. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Their organization is unbelievable. And piggybacking on that thought, one thing that I've grown to be pretty adamant about, based on just, talking to people and seeing people and being in groups. I'm talking to people that have already been sort of diagnosed with some form of cancer, not just prostate cancer. I'm talking generally about any cancer. Please, please, please don't ever do what your doctor tells you as far as going to where they recommend you go without also getting a second opinion. I'm not saying they're not right. It could be very well that's the best place in the world, but I don't care who it is, get a second opinion. And there are a lot of facilities that will let you send them your information and your diagnostics and those kinds of things, and do a free diagnostic for you. But don't go to where you are. Don't go to the first place you hear unless you also get a second opinion. And I really believe in that strongly because, again, I've seen dozens of guys and women and with other kinds of cancer go somewhere and just be in this horrible situation until they finally end up at a better place, a place they probably should have been in the first place, and then their entire life turns around. So I think that's pretty important that you at least get a second opinion.
Absolutely. I want to bring this back up with Rebecca. Her OBGYN screens females if a male has prostate cancer with metastasis to the bones in the family. They recommend having testing done. I'm glad to see all physicians concerned about this. I am too, Rebecca, and thank you for saying that.
Another family member.
I love it.
That's my daughter.
That's right.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody with it in my family, and as I said in the beginning, being a pilot, I had to have a medical every 6 months. And I'll tell you what. It never included the bend over the table test nor the PSA, with the blood draw. And I wish it had. because, I will also say this. I was told this verbatim, and I will not give the gentleman's name out that told me this, but I tend to believe him because I've known him for a long time. He said that for the longest time, the insurance companies didn't want to pay for it. And, this seems to be the same thing we're fighting consistently in this country today, is the power of lobbyists taking over the halls of justice and telling us what's going to happen. And I know this is a whole other show, and we probably don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it is disastrous that an insurance company tells a medical professional, you can't do this to treat a person. We're talking about human life here. We're talking about our lives. We're talking about your loved ones' lives. This is critical stuff. This isn't fooling around stuff. Cancer is cancer. And I agree with you, Pat. There was a good one on that, on talking about, you will die from something else. I think maybe the only time I would probably think that could happen is if we get old enough and the medicine has worked long enough. But ultimately, it's going to be the cancer. You're right.
Hey, I got a question for both of you guys.
So
here's my question, you guys, and this is my opinion and my feeling. What's it going to take for us to get prostate cancer the same awareness factor as breast cancer for women?
Well, so first of all, men are like really big babies when it comes to this. I mean, we're macho and we're men and all this, and we want to, portray this image of being so tough and so strong. But let's face it. Okay, let's be real here for a minute. I mean, women are way stronger than men in so many ways, and so the answer is very simple. The solution, getting there, isn't very simple, but the answer is simple for me. Women love to talk about everything, and men like to talk about nothing. Luckily, I'm half woman, so I like talking about stuff. Right?
Yes, I got that same problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Men don't want to talk, and women want to talk about everything. But it's getting better. I mean, we're here to change that stigma, and we're doing this because we want guys to understand it has nothing to do with your manlyhood or anything. It has to do with helping other people and having a positive mindset that will help you live a longer, better life, regardless of whether you have prostate cancer or not. It's all surrounded around this positive mental attitude, which includes being proactive and communicating.
I agree. Yeah. It's the audience. The problem is the audience.
Right. We got to change that
mindset. Good question,
right?
Tracy. Yeah, it goes back to what I said, about the leaky eyes. Big boys do cry, and big boys should cry, and big boys should be communicative. We were raised, there was a whole generational divide that was raised. Men were raised, first of all, children were raised to be seen and not heard. I remember that one from my youth. It was like kids just sit there and behave. Men were taught to be men, and men were taught to be tough, and you don't let your feelings out on your sleeve, and you certainly don't let other people know you're not feeling good, or you're having a tough time. And that is a generational thing, and I think it is easing up, although I don't know if it's easing up in the right direction, because some men have gone totally the other way. And I don't mean to be picking on men right now, because I am one of those men. But I have seen it, and I've seen it change to the point where men aren't acting like men anymore either. And that's another show. That's another subject about, men taking responsibility. We don't have that anymore. Well, I shouldn't say we don't have it anymore, because there's some really great men out there. I happen to have fathered one of them, and I'm very proud of him. My namesake, Junior. And he is a man. He is a man, but he's also a very sensitive man. He was brought up to be that way, and I'm thankful for his mother, and I'm thankful for that I felt that way. I had that upbringing from my mother. She said, "It's okay, it's all right." My father was a tough dude. He was a military guy, and you towed the rope. And my grandfather and I worked with both of them and learned the carpentry business. I want to tell you what, my first job when I worked with them was straightening nails. We didn't throw nails away, so they didn't give you any indication how tough they were. So it really, really was. That's what we did. We didn't throw anything away, and you were tough. It's Chris is saying, thank you, men, for all that you're doing to I missed that one, Emily. Thank you, men, for all that you are doing to make more men and women aware of this disease. Well, we thank you as well, Chris, for being with us. We also had another message that was right there, Emily. Thank you. I'm not sure which one it was. There we go. David saying, I started getting my PSA blood test and DRE exam starting when he was 40. That's great. My next checkup is June 25th. It's been 29 years. God bless you. I'm telling you. Definitely been a men's prostate cancer advocate for all those years. God bless you, David. My next one is May 27th, and then we're going to head back from where we live in Fort Myers, Florida now. And I mentioned earlier, you see this beautiful room that I'm in, right? It doesn't really exist. Although we are in Florida, I could show you the Pelicans too, but this is called green screen, which is pretty cool. And as the show progresses, we're going to be doing a whole lot more with that. I'll go in May 27th, and it's probably a good thing because I don't really want to be traveling via air right now anyway. I think it's good to let another month go by. But then I've got to get up to Maine, and we've got a lot of stuff to do and some property we still own there. And we're going to get it all sold, and we're going to be done. And we'll just go back and have a vacation back in the great state of Maine. It is a gorgeous state to visit. It's not where I grew up. I grew up on the south coast of Boston, Massachusetts. But PSA is huge, and I'm praying for it to be 0 point something again. My attitude's saying it's going to be. I'm hoping to get off one at least. I'm hoping to get off this little pill that is driving me crazy. And if I have to have one more shot, maybe. But, last summer I got off the whole summer and I went in a reverse effect. So that tells you that there's really not a cure. And I still have my prostate. They said they couldn't do anything about taking it out. So, I've talked to a lot of men who have had it removed. One in particular last night, a friend of ours. And he said, I had to go back in. I said, why? He said, because my PSA's up. And he had it removed a couple of years ago. And they said they told him they couldn't promise that they could get it all. There might still be some cells still lingering there. They can't be sure that they're going to get every speck, every cell that could be cancerous. And I was like, oh my goodness, and then all of a sudden I said, no, I'm going to smile and I'm going to be positive. I'm going to say, hey, guess what? It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine because you're going to keep, and he's got a great attitude. So I'm sure it will be fine. But
awesome.
Well, we've done great, guys. And, we've had some wonderful comments. Anybody else have anything at all you'd like to ask? Oh, Joe, good. Man Up to Cancer, the Howling Place, brings support to men going through any form of cancer. He's just stage 3B colon cancer survivor. And he oh my gosh, really?
How old are you, Joe?
3 years,
if you don't mind me asking. Maybe he'll respond to that. I was wondering how old you are and if and when you had your most recent PSA.
Man Up to Cancer is a really good group. I've been involved with them for a while.
Yes, I've just gotten involved with Joe, and Joe's been very helpful in that he shared this show for us in his group, by the way, guys. So that was really good. Joe, why don't you, if you could answer there for what Pat was saying before we sign off. We're going to hang it up here in a few more minutes. For today, this is the first of what's going to continue into the future. The awareness factor, I believe we're going to get more and more and more people. We've had a good count of people on today. Folks, don't be bashful. We're going to stay here with you for a few more minutes. If you feel that we can help you get some information, please get in touch with us. Get in touch with each one of us. Our information is on the page in the I am. I'll make sure I'm reading the right thing here. Thank you, Emily, for putting that up. Thank you for joining with us. Like and share is huge right now, guys. If you could like and share this and let people know that this show is available. Everybody knows somebody that's going to develop or has prostate cancer. It is second to only colon cancer, killing men like flies. And I hate to put it that way, but it is really, really horrendous what's going on with it. And they're working hard. They're working hard to try to find something that's going to, but it's early stage. It's early stage. You've got to get out there. And I think, Pat, you hit the nail on the head. Guys, you got to get out there and you've got to be aware and just say, you know what? If the statistics are what they are, and believe me, we can tell you they are what they are.
Yes.
And maybe even worse. then recognize that you've got to stop being that strong and that anti-wanting to get yourself checked out. The fear factor, let it go. You know what? There's an expression I learned as a coach many years ago. 97% of that we fear and worry about, it ain't never going to happen the way you're fearing it and worrying about it. So think about it in that respect and get yourself checked. I'm hoping we're going to see a lot of people come back and tell us they've gone and got the check. And join with some of these support groups. With Joe's group, I'm going to, let's see if I can find that one. Emily, if you could pop that back up with Joe's group again, the Howling Place. Man Up to Cancer, the Howling Place. Bring support. Yep. There he goes. He just put it up there, and I just changed it. Emily did it right, and I changed it again. Sorry, Emily. Emily Miller, by the way, my lovely wife has been our producer today, and we both have controls. And I sometimes, being a guy, I like to have my hands on things too. So if I see a comment, but she's done a great job, and she's very versed in this. By the way, she's exceptional at this stuff. I've been doing it for a lot of years, over 10 years, with social media marketing and business management, and just really knows how to handle this stuff. And when we found this platform, we were excited because I needed something. I needed something to get off the couch, so to speak. And Florida weather has been phenomenal. It really has. We've had upper 90s some days, but it's almost too hot to go out and walk around and get your exercise. So you go early in the morning. I don't want to hear it from you.
Yeah. Joe, you're right. Early detection is the key for all cancers, by the way. You're right. Joe popped in and said that early detection is the key for all cancers. That's totally right. I think the point, exactly. That's perfect. I think one of the points that I like to make about prostate cancer and early detection is that it's so easy. It's the easiest of all cancers to have a PSA drawn, right? But you're 100% right. There's no question that people have to be more cognizant of and aware that we get older, things change, and you're more susceptible to all kinds of cancers and those kinds of things. So I couldn't agree more. That's a great point. Thanks for shouting that out, that all forms of cancer should be checked, and early detection will save us all a lot of lives and headache and that kind of stuff. So thank you for that. I appreciate the input.
Very true. Very true.
Yep. Thanks, guys. This is awesome.
We appreciate it. And we'll have Joe on with us on another call because you're right, Tracy. He's got a great support group going there as well. So, all right, we're coming up in an hour and a half. If we don't have any other questions or great comments we can talk to, guys, I think we're going to close it for today.
All right.
And we will be back in touch with you. I'm Jeffrey Miller, the host of Interactive Interviews, the IM Radio TV network. We have an opportunity for folks that want to have a show. Emily is going to be running a phenomenal, very value-packed, low-cost training to how to do this and do it professionally. There's a lot of people running around with cameras doing Facebook Lives, but you don't get the professional part of it. And we're in the beginning phase. I'm in the beginning phase. She knows what she's doing. So all the overlays and all the stuff and the logos and stuff like that, she has created all that very easily and simply. And I just shook my head and said, wow, thank you so much, because I've needed to get back to this. We need to get our voices out. We need not so much for us to be heard, but for you to hear, folks, for you to hear what you can do and should be doing for prostate cancer awareness and all forms of cancer. So we thank you all very much on behalf of myself and the network. And Pat Shuffler, thank you very much. Tracy Morgan, God bless both of you brothers. And we will be back, folks, with you again. We'll schedule another date. And we hope a lot more people, and we thank all of you that have been on. If you're watching this in replay, God bless you. Thank you for watching it in replay. Share this video. Let people know about it. This show is going to continue. And we thank you all so very much. Any parting comments, guys?
Yeah, just send us friend requests, guys. Don't be afraid to send us. I forgot to say this, but if you have any specific questions or want some information on groups or any support at all, any kind of support, emotional or doctor, reach out to any one of all three of us, and we'd be happy to help you anytime.
Exactly. Very, very true. And, each one of us has got a different walk, but we've got a story that, is the truth and is factual. We've been there and done it with this PT thing. Most of, we're not over it. We're still there. I particularly, can tell you what it's like to still be living with it, with a prostate still in me that's very cancerous. So God bless you all. Thanks so much for being with you. And we'll see you again on the next show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, good job. Talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See ya.